threatens eternal night. Heroes from across worlds stand and unite. No other foe or force can match their might. The once great people of this world now hide in fear. All chaos shaken by the power of sword and spear. The black-clad armies of the Dark One now draw near. But in the distance, the sergeant and the bear appear. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Legions of Romans stand and let their arrows fly. The roaring of dragons and machines fills the sky. Secret agents and the generals they defy. Swarms of orcs and samurai raise their banners high. In the wake of death, only one man stands alone. The sergeant raises his sword, high silver shone. He condemns the chaos the war is has sown. He stands longing for the day he may return home. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Until the war for the world's brains is won, they will fight until they're all done. But Achille will stand alone as one, and the bloodshed is finally done. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation, 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 to end the age of annihilation.
Welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ToV podcast, episode 67. Happy Sunday to you all. I am Ryan, aka Tales of Valhalla. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to tell you why in a second. We are going to be doing an overview of Wave 4 Boiling Tension that Renegade just announced this last Friday, among other things. And I have with me tonight a wonderful panel of peoples with me, some regulars, some not. But we have there in the top corner, we got Alex, who frequently is on videos of Nobleman Nick's YouTube channel. Howdy, Alex. We got Croatan, aka Jeremy, aka the man, the myth, the legend, the lore master with us tonight. And we also have Sir Dadscaper with us as well. And we got Joe Crazy, the man who does not need any introduction because he's not crazy. He's just mind shackled all the time. And we
He's just
have
mind shackled.
and we have Jason Rocket Robotics, aka the Tabletop Battlefield, as well, or what we used to be in history, with us tonight. And we have Sir Josiah Roguescaper, Master Painter Extraordinaire. And if you don't think he's a Master Painter, just watch the short from last Friday. He is. So, yes, tonight we are going to be doing an overview, going through some of these, what we like and what we don't like about what Renegade released. I think mostly good things. But I think some people have some critiques on some things. So we're going to get into that in a minute.
Just tiny things, we're just talking about tiny little things with hammers,
just
tiny.
Just tiny thing. But we're going to have fun. It's a fun night. But before we get into that, I do actually, I'm gonna share my screen because I want to give a shout out to a YouTuber who practically just started his channel, and I just want to do a quick shout out for him. So here, hold on a second. Let me get up. Someone I've noticed in the last few weeks, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a shout out. So let's see, I gotta find the right window here. Here we go. All right, and there's a link in the description below for this individual. Called A Hero's Escape.
That's what I was thinking you're gonna do.
Yep.
I've seen that one. Yep.
Yeah. He's got a lot of videos, and a really cool thing. Also, apparently a writer. He's got a book on Amazon, like a fantasy novel that I plan to get sometime and probably read through it and talk about it sometime in the future. But really good stuff. A lot of content, and really developing a lot of subscribers. I think is because he's taken advantage of the shorts. YouTube shorts that most of us probably don't. But he's got some good stuff. He actually was reading into the lore like Thorman's journal, like we are, as well. Yeah. So
he's making engaging thumbnails, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm collabing with him on Tuesday, so actually,
so
excellent,
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you're making himself known, and I love this shot right here, of Drake, like the top shot of Drake, and then just that dragon back there. It's almost like a Tales of Valhalla shot, I'm very impressed with it. So yes, that is a Hero's Escape. Check him out, give him a sub, and watch his stuff. He's got some good stuff there. All right, nice. Let me take this down for the moment here. All right, and then before we get into the nitty gritty stuff, and start going through the stuff, I just want to make one other mention when it comes to the very first thing we saw at Renegade Con, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I am. Was the stop motion animation short that some of us have been working on for like 5 months for Renegade. And the fun thing about it for me was all that is canon. It's freaking canon. And this is something that I've like told Joe over and over for the past few months. It's like the sound that Bach Bernard makes, that watery Morrow sound that I use in Tales of Valhalla, that's freaking canon too. And that just history there, and that just makes me so proud. That just makes
the dream has become reality.
Oh my gosh! Yep. Now as I say, because I had this question asked to me, like, does that mean the rest of my other stuff is canon? No, it's just that short. Anything else that's Tales of Valhalla, that is not canon. But this stuff is, and the only thing I would say besides that, if you liked what you saw and you want more, let Renegade know. Send a message, say we want Tales of Valhalla to do more stuff, and just get that message out there. That would be probably one of the best things you can do. And I appreciate all the comments and likes from everybody, because that video's gotten some attention. So really appreciate it. If anybody else got anything to say, you can if you want to.
I definitely want to say that was a really good video. I thoroughly enjoyed it when it popped up, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, I like where this is going." So I have no faults with it. It was great.
Was it a surprise when you were watching? Like, wait, what is this? Like,
yes, it was a surprise.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
I was like, I was at work, and luckily I was able to take my break and turn on and actually watch it, and that was what came up. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, there's a link in the description below for it. Yeah, there's a link in the description below.
Yep.
You want to take a look at it. Josiah, your mic's off. Just so you know. I see your lips moving. I see your lips moving.
Classic stream.
Technical difficulties.
There he goes.
It always happens. It always happens.
The kind words just and it happened actually on the Renegade Con stream too. So I have no idea what Anais was gonna say. So I probably got to ask her something
About us, yeah. I'm sure all nice things.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. I'm glad, like, the first person that I thought of to do, because I couldn't bring in a lot of people to do this. It wasn't gonna be possible. But Joe was one of the first people we thought of, and actually I think Lee suggested it before even I did, and I'm like, actually, I was gonna say that. Yep, because Joe wanted to be a pirate, so he got his chance. So I guess we can move on from there. Was just giving Josiah just one other second, and I gave it. So let us just before we do that,
do we have comments from last podcast?
Not going to do any. Not going to do any. We can save them until next time. But
yeah, knowing that I make the schedule, I also forgot the schedule.
Well, I have it right in front. I have it right in front of me. I have the timeline right in front of me because I got to keep an eye on this.
Funny.
But no, if Jeremy, if you want to have him as it, or if you want to take a minute, so Joe can show those photos. How about you talk about what you were doing this weekend?
Oh right. So yeah, I essentially what happened. It was an opportunity that kind of just popped up because when Renegade asked me to start writing for the bios, my initial drive was like, well, now I'm sort of tied to this brand's, success, right? Obviously, because the more that Heroscape gets out there, the more that, more people that play it, the more I get to create bios, right? So it's like, well, obviously now I have a very strong incentive to go out and show everybody these pieces and stuff. So what had happened was I ended up finding out there were local conventions, and this was, I don't know why I never knew about this before, but my town hosts several Comic-Con themed conventions, fandom gatherings, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And so this one that was hosted this weekend, this is called Con Nuga, and I was told this was supposed to be the biggest multi-fandom convention that takes place in my city. So big time, big experience, right? Everyone's like, this is the time to shine kind of stuff. This is the time to get people to know about this game. So I sent a message to Jordan. I explained to Jordan what it was. I was like, yeah, this is Con Nuga. They said this is the biggest event in my city. I'd like to get the brand out there. And I initially asked, I was like, hey, send me a couple minis, OP minis or anything like that I can give out if that's anything I can do. And he goes, how about I send you some pre-painted battle boxes? And I'm just like, what? Okay. I was just going for the OP minis.
Well, you kind of work for them, so it's. I hope you had happy people giving that stuff away. So
Oh, dude, it was. I don't know how to explain it, man. I'm at the forefront of the joy and wonder that this game brings. I am being able to deliver this product to people. I get to tell them about it. I get to share the game, talk about it. I get to teach them how to play. And then at the end of the convention day, I pulled someone's name and I message them like, hey, look, you're a winner. And every single winner was stoked. They were just like, yeah, like because they all got to play. That was the thing. They all got to play at least one scenario, right? That was the goal. If you play, this was the thing I said. Hey, you play one scenario, one of three, because there's 3 scenarios in the battle box. If you play any of those 3 with me, learn the rules of the game, you get a raffle, right? Or put the raffle in. And then I had a 4th option. This one was funny because no one went for this option. But my 4th option was you get a ticket if you listen to my lore rant that covers all 20 years of the
game. Why would you do that to those nice people?
No, but here's the thing. No one went for it. They all just wanted to play instead. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll play Heroscape instead. But if you want a free ticket, I can just rant about the lore. But no one went for the lore rant.
I will hold you
And I
hostage
was like,
to talk about my world building.
It was just funny,
Here's the
but
deal.
no,
we
genuinely
could play
was
this
just.
fun game, or
Or you can hear. You can hear.
You want to hear me get like?
You can hear the
I just
story
adjust my
told.
glasses and I'm like, let's get ready for this. You know, start
Jeremy's
pulling
the
out all
modern day
Master
Heroscape
sets.
prophet. You know.
I mean,
It
Jeremy,
was
I
just.
listened to your TED talk.
Thank
Yeah.
you, buddy.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was just like so for stats, right? Just kind of like a quick overview. I got to demo and taught the game 16 times, so 16 people got to learn how to play,
Nice.
and that's within 3 days. So like I think it was like what 8 games and then 6
Mhm.
games and then 5 games and all that kind of stuff. So like spread out throughout the 3 days.
Mega
But
Bubfish
got
says,
to
"I
do a
would have
demo.
listened to the low rant during the game."
Hey, yeah, I mean, I was offering. No one lit. No one lit. They were like, I was like, okay, that's fair. I kept myself contained. Okay, I promise. There was only a few things I had to tell people about because I really, really had to tell people about it, you know. But poor soul. Oh my god. Look, I'm just trying to teach them the salvation of Revna. Okay, that's the point. But yeah, no, overall, yeah, we got 16 games in. I got 7 new signups for organized play. So 7 individuals are wanting to commit to showing up to the game store and participating in events and then helping get the stuff running down there for tournaments and all that kind of stuff, right? I actually met another local game store. So you can actually see in the photo that's on screen, they were selling Heroscape at the vendor hall, right? And so I went up, this was the funnest thing ever. I went up to the game store and I was like, hey, I see that you have Heroscape on sale. You want to hear something cool? And they're like, what's that? And I was like, did you know I write for Heroscape? And they're like, what? And they just freaked out. And it was just, it was just that nice. Like, I'm like, oh, you're selling Heroscape. Well, I want to, celebrate because frick, new stuff came out. It's just a good time. What you got for me, right? And so he showed me his offerings, and they happened to have one of the jungle sets, and I was just happened to be missing one of the jungle sets. So I bought the jungle set from this local game store, helped support local businesses,
Nice.
and I got some more scape out of it. At the convention I was demoing the game at. I'm like, what the heck? So it was just, oh man,
Nice.
I don't even know. Like, just the whole reason why we play this game, the whole reason why we're fans of it. I got to throw that out to everybody out there. And so there's just a lot of cool opportunities from that, and everyone's looking forward to next year. So we'll see how far it can go. I'm hoping to grow it even more, get some
Sure.
dynamic out there. I have, this is just a theory. Obviously, I'm not. Well, we'll see if I can commit. I'm looking into doing a Vidar cosplay, but I don't know if I can commit to that level of. It's just because I want to make him look good. Obviously, right, Valkyrie and all, but because since I got the voice in Tales of Valhalla, I was like, I might as well just like dress like his photo, and because I have a photo of him in Thorman's journal. So I'm like, if I did like a thing that looked like him, and then be like, you face Vidar, just for fun, but to get people into the game. But I'm thinking things like that, dynamic, like just dressing up as the characters, or like having some big old war banners out to get people into the game. I'm going crazy, y'all. It's nice to be able to see this game out in public
and
again.
Tell us about Wolverine taking here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So the Wolverine you see in the photo, that was one of the individuals who both signed up for the organized play, and he also is he was able to play a game, and he won the second day. So he won the Saturday prize. I didn't send that photo there, but I do have a photo of a Wolverine holding a box of Heroscape, and I sent that to Renegade. I was like, look where it went, and it was just. Yeah, it's just
That must have made
the
Jordan
fandom
happy.
experience. I even told him, I was like, man, they had a Marvel set. They should have put Wolverine in. I would have brought him. I would have shown you if he was a thing. But it's like but I didn't want to. I didn't know how do you tell a new fan about the projects we did. I'm like, I'll get you into that later. We'll start off with easy stuff first.
We're gonna start.
Wolverine's in Heroscape. You could play Wolverine in Heroscape if you wanted to, but it's like
There you go.
I was like, I don't have time to explain it, but but yeah, it was just really cool to meet these people, and most of them like. A lot of the way they worked, it was like they remembered the game from the past. They were like, oh my gosh, I remember that when I was a kid. And then I got to be like, well, now there are new stuff that they're working out. And if you want to try and check it out for this new edition, here it is right here, play a game. And it was like, boom, instant. Like, throwing out stuff. A lot of people were worried about the complexity. You know, they were like, "Oh my gosh, is this game really hard?" And I was like, "I can get you in and out in 30 minutes." And it was just like, "Really?" And then I would show them the basic game, and then kept my promise. They were done pretty quickly, and they were just like, "This was cool." And I mean, within that, it was like 30 minutes to an hour's experience for every single player. They were able to like the battle boxes. I love the battle box. Oh my god,
Jeremy.
Yes. Okay.
Ryan had an agenda.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I was about to wrap.
Jeremy, I love you, Jeremy.
I was about to wrap.
I got you. But yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, and thank you, Jeremy, so much. I'm glad it was a great time, and for like it wasn't definitely not a Gen Con, but it definitely was a nice convention that we needed to do more.
Yeah, it was a lot bigger than I thought. So I'm really excited to try to host again next year, get some more stuff out there. So and then keep the experience going.
Absolutely. And Josiah, just want to double check with your audio. Are you coming in okay?
Me?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
At least I can hear you.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to, if you had a thought to finish, especially if it was about me. No, if you wanted to finish what you said.
Oh, I don't even remember. I was just totally surprised and about the video, and I was part of it. So I was like, "Oh, Hales, let's go!"
Yeah.
Nice. What I was saying is like you were on stream a couple weeks ago. You play things so close to your chest. You're like,
Yes, I do.
"Oh, I just wish Renegade would contact me for something, or like you're working on this whole project on the side. You sneakster, you."
Yeah. Well, yeah, you won't be in the dark anymore, but had to do it this time. All right. Well, let's dive in. Let's dive into this stuff. Let's have some fun. And
how do you want to work this?
I already.
No, I have it. Look. I have a timer. I promise. 5 minutes.
Well,
I'm locking myself to 5-minute discussions.
We'll start covering how I choose who we're going to start covering. Here, I just got to get to the right spot here. Get it popped up here. We're just going to start where they finished. Actually, we're going to start with Raylan.
All right.
And
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
And because I did glance. I didn't look at all the lore of everything, but I did look at her lore. It's a very interesting bit. It basically explains a little bit of the why she did what she did. So that's good. And wait a second in the chat. Mega Bloodfish says, I'm hopeful that my local Heroscape scene keeps growing. I want to experience the community that I always missed out on during the first go around. For sure. And hey, Team Ski says, I hope these make sense thematically. We'll see. But here, let me bring up anything that we want to. Anything that comes to mind for Raylan. I think it's pretty good.
The art is top tier.
Oh yeah,
I love the art.
I
wish the model was the same art though.
Yeah, her stabbing something. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I do like the art. I think it'd be cool if the model looked just like that. But
my only problem I have with this, besides narratively introducing the fourth Raylan so soon, is that this card gives no indication of a boost of the tiger. It's the same stats as her riding the tiger, or the manticore. So it kind of is just like, what was the purpose of the manticore? But that's kind of extra game stuff.
Making her double based.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
You have ToV on Patreon. You can hear a discussion between myself and Dadscaper about the purpose of the manticore a couple of weeks ago, a few months ago.
I
asked him about that in one of those extra post Patreon things, and why is that manticore there if it's not doing anything? There's a whole discussion about that.
Ooh, interesting.
Nice.
My reasoning is just the Manticore's name is Twist D Blade, and that's actually the name of the special deck. So.
That's
I knew it. No.
Nice.
All right. Anything else to say? I think the point value for this one actually I think is pretty low, because if you wouldn't have Vengeful Swoop, then maybe, but I think the point value might go up via Delta.
Oh yeah,
it's a fun card. Pod armies are scared of this Raylan. Like range pod armies, they're gonna hate her.
Oh yeah. Can't be mind shackled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Ben?
I'm looking at the sculpt. What are the wings really small?
So if I recall, I think it's so you remember the statue that they had at Gen Con? It's supposed to be that same model, but like in minuscule.
Yeah, it's probably
that.
the same size as like any other like standing.
You know what
railing,
we're thinking too, because other than the fact that they're red wings, but the other railings had metal wings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So these are feathered. I don't know what happened to.
These are. Well, so the thing is because.
All right.
You remember in the cartoon, right? How what they did in the cartoon when they had Kimoshi take over her mind.
Okay.
They had red wings in the cartoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a reference to that.
Okay.
And so yeah, but she didn't let like the second time around, right? She ended up realizing that the magic, Kimoshi's mind shackle, didn't effectively take her over the same way it did in the comics. So she's using it as cover this time around. And so it's like, it's that visual. She's got the red wings. She's got that evil presence that she had in the comic series or that she had in the cartoon, but it's a cover this whole time. She's undercover this whole time. Yeah.
So she still has metal wings.
She can.
Need an alternate sculpt then.
Right.
Were the metal wings just armor for the wings?
Yes. If you look at the model, they gave her wings are not like the metal is attached to an armor. It's not meant to be part of her body.
Dadscaper,
her first two models have metal wings.
Oh, hold on a second, Dadscaper, you have a thought? What's up? What you got?
This doesn't feel ripe to me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this card. There are a lot of changes to the figure that we've already been talking about. This really feels like something that could have waited.
Okay. So this wasn't an original AOA invention. This is a Renegade.
Yeah. So this is an update. They from the discussion we had when they were bringing her out and talking about the story and stuff, they wanted to quickly. I guess the worry was that the Kimoshi arc, right, just letting her be taken over again would just be seen as like redundant. Right, because she had already been mind shackled. That was already a plot. They didn't want to do that again.
But right? nobody said that they had to do this at all.
They thought it would be like really good to kind of like break her out of that arc and then like out of the mind shackle experience. So
but
they designed
why
this.
But why now? Why did this happen?
You think too soon?
Now?
Too soon?
I just think it's. There's a lot going on in this card. There are a lot of changes to her story, and we just did it already under Renegade's banner. It seems to me that with this much change, it's something that could have waited.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I think it was really kind of impactful to have Raylan be evil. Evil Raylan has presence on the field. Yeah. You do want that to sit for a bit. That that impact to reside. We all kind of knew eventually Raylan was going to become good. Eventually, like in our hearts, we knew like she's one of the three heroes on the box art. You kind of are going to have your hero come back. But I do agree that next master set, a year or two from now, where we kind of let her play her role, I think this would have been more well received because it just feels like, oh, here we go again.
Skateboard says Raylan should have her own Netflix series.
So wait, I guess I missed this part of the presentation then. So was Raylan just faking to be evil as part of the Age of Annihilation story?
She was technically a secret agent, kind of. Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
Well,
because not a secret agent,
she went for her again. And the way the story's good, like she went for the spell again, and this second time around, Raylan discovered that she was able to resist it, but then didn't make it known to the Utkar forces that had happened. She was just like, okay, I'm going to play that I had got my mind taken over, and then was using that to get closer to Utkar's forces. She's like trying to sneak in and get to know everything and talk to everyone, that kind of stuff, and that's why she's teamed up with Leviathan. Right, like with the peace summit and all that stuff like that, and then later on, we dropped the reference to that in the current scenario, the Leviatok Raylan interaction, because the only reason why Leviatok knew to use the snowfield was through Raylan's communication, and it's that kind of stuff. There's an interaction going on between those two that everyone should pay attention to. It's really important. But yeah.
And let's see, Mega
that much I can.
Mega Bubfish says actual story progression is good. Glad they're moving forward. And personally, I think this figure and lore are slam dunk. Well, I think I'm like on kind of on the fence with it, because I mean, in one aspect, you had, like, in the first two master sets originally, you had a Raylan, then you had another Raylan, Rise of the Valkyrie, Swarm of the Morrow, and each were a little different than others. And I think maybe it was Renegade's thoughts just that staple original good Raylan is something that they felt like they needed. Since they didn't want to refer back to the original Raylans, they want to have, not those old two, but get new two, and so get this one out as fast as possible. Whether or not that was the right decision,
I just want to be. I don't think it's terrible. It just seems a little bit early. I mean, I have stronger feelings, both good and bad, about other things we'll look at tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was my shot from the hip on this.
And this is not my favorite one of the whole bunch, for sure. And then I'll even counter that with Team Ski in the chat saying she's way overpowered, and I agree. Her whirlwind attack is not a special attack. A flyer at 6 movement and 6 life. Yeah, this is a 150, 200 point figure. And when me and Joe were going through this stuff last Friday, I was mentioning that too. I think that 105 points for this particular miniature, maybe without the Vengeful Swoop, but with that, it's easily, like, it'd be altered in Delta like 150 to 175.
Yeah,
easily.
A lot of stuff that we got shown off is very undercosted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt overall. But I honestly feel like they missed an opportunity. They could have just released this model, which is a cool model. I like the colors and the design of it, and just kind of made like form of the Morrow Raylan, kind of, because we don't have that defensive boost in the game. Just have kind of a re-release with that, with maybe slightly higher stats. 4 attack or 4 defense, just kind of a slightly better Raylan 2.0. Like, no one wants the first Raylan in the meta now, but +1 defense for the armies that exist nowadays, and contemporary would be really nice to have for like pirates and stuff like that. Good army builder.
The boost is a big shift in sort of what we expect in a Raylan too. We expect a Raylan, like even the evil Raylan has a sort of a passive aura.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, this is an aura, but it's a very sort of active one. It's like almost more like Eltahale than anything else.
Yeah. She could have been any other Kyrie, and I probably would have liked it more. But it's just kind of like, this isn't Raylan. She's a kind of a cheerleader fighter, kind of in between that, but not a full on.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, you have 2 offensive Raylans now. One for Utgar, one for Jandar. It's interesting. To say the least. And Alex, you didn't say much. I don't think you said much. And any thoughts on that before we move on to the next one?
I kind of agree most. I think with what you were saying about her. I feel like kind of iffy on her, or I was surprised most of when I first saw her, because I was like, oh, they're bringing this out pretty soon, because we just had her being on, Ukar's side. But then I think trying to say she's kind of pretending to be I liked that. I really did. But I do feel like maybe it's a little too soon they're playing that card, if that makes sense. I agree with that.
Yeah, I kind of have that feeling too. Well, let's move on to a Decker. Okay, this is another promo. Furry woodland creature with a drill. Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
I love the little sculpts on these guys. Any thoughts on this one? Who do I want to do it? Since Alex is that, Alex, you're first. Any thoughts on this one?
Dig a lot of holes.
Dig a lot of holes. Yep. Yep. Wasn't there a squad to go like a drill squad too, or am I just imagining things?
I don't think there was.
You might be thinking the concept art that was posted, because they did have like a bunch of Void concepts that they showed off. So it may have been that you were looking at. Okay,
then yeah, it's probably just me then, because I was asking Joe's question last Friday too, and he's like, "Ryan, you're imagining things," and I probably was. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts, Joe?
Drill drive is going to be so awesome because you can go up the height, down the height, bypass everybody, and attack them. An attack of 4? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is great. I am loving drill drive.
Yeah. People keep on hating on this figure in chat. I'm like, for 65 points, he is your semi-range special attacker, solid stat line. You know, like
just wait to have even without army with a bunch of Void. You know, it's just gonna be like crazy.
Yeah, he can fill a little niche in an army. Really, any army he falls into, he just kind of slots in. He's thematic and fun and easy to use. So he checks off everything on my list.
Everything, but once again, still undercosted.
Yeah.
I think we all could say this guy is like the. I don't want to say underdog, but like everyone doesn't think he's gonna be that effective, but he's gonna be pretty effective.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
easily
5 life, 4 defense. Yeah, this is at least 100 points. I mean, what are we joking with this?
He doesn't look that intimidating. The mole with a drill, but then you're like, oh no, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Skateboard is saying in the chat, so this guy is the reason they have potholes in Valhalla. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Or they're
Deku especially does not.
He's not in the books, you know.
He's also fixing him too. He'll patch him up. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure. And Team Skis is like another underpriced figure, and I think this is actually the theme for most of these units. They the price, like once the Delta pricing comes out for these, they're probably going to bump up. They're probably going to bump up.
Let's see. I mean, I
wouldn't use him at any more points, though.
Especially with Raylan, you guys, some of you were saying that she's undercosted. I'm not sure she is. I don't think she's a great design.
And I do point, because you remember that they have a very extensive playtesting program. All these characters get vetted several times before they launch.
Yeah.
So they're not like they want to try these out. You know, they're not.
This particular one is from the AOA.
Right.
Stuff. This is one of the ones that I worked on this set. This is one of Doc's designs.
Okay.
I mean, he's not like making stuff up. Now I don't know what adjustments might have been made, but this is one of his designs. Which is
actually, and that's the thing. It's like
I just wanted to say really quickly. Yeah,
go ahead, Ben.
This is. I'm going to come back to this later. This is you look at this mini, you know immediately what's happening here. You see the theme like that. The powers that are expressed there are directly connected to the mini, and there's not like extra stuff. And you can also see how this will develop interesting play.
Yeah.
So this is setting aside whether the pricing is correct or not. When I'm looking at a design, I'm not looking at the price first because I'm not a good enough player to be sure about stuff like that. But this is a good example of a solid design, and we will see some of the other ones from Renegade that are, and some of the other ones that I'm going to say are not.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
For sure. No, I think this one's going to be fun because, I mean, talk about and Teamski's saying these will make all my classic Heroscape figures obsolete. Well, that's kind of the point, unfortunately. But with Decker, it's like gaining height advantage or trying to gain height advantage against Decker is just totally like it's irrelevant. You actually don't want to, because you could just with the drill drive you just plow through you. You know that in itself is pretty amazing.
You were always saying he's overcosted. Yeah, I wouldn't pay any more for him in an army. He fills a role and he does it good, but like he doesn't need to any more points. I think he has to do more to justify that. Like if he kills a couple, disrupts a couple squads or gains, like he's just kind of slots into any army at that price point. Sure. Like 65 points is kind of like a weird price range where things just kind of like. I don't have a good option, like you choose like a cowboy or something, but Yeah, I'm glad to see more things in that price
That's what
range.
he's like.
Sure,
That's what he's
sure.
like. He's
Yeah.
a cowboy. He's like a Johnny Shotgun Soul, like like one of those, he'll slot in there
With a drill.
Mm-hmm.
With a drill.
You know the drill.
Yeah. All right. And
He knows the drill.
Any other thoughts before we move on? Oh my goodness, the jokes. The jokes are going to be flowing tonight. Anything else about Decker before we move on? All right.
Fun little guy.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting because this one, I think with promos, I think with including this one will be produced to people unpainted, so you do have to paint the thing. I believe that's.
Okay.
I will say he's the least interesting promo figure probably.
Mhm.
Like he's not like
gonna be tiny.
He's a good figure, but he's not someone like I want to drive 3 hours to a game store to get. Sense. Like
sure.
I would or Cornelius. I would because I like skate.
I mean, well,
like he doesn't have that like big figure.
Let's say Raylan or Q11 or Sergeant Drake or Shuri.
That's
you know,
true.
it's like
I think this is something probably that people would be more inclined to wait for when it just goes up on. Up online.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agreed with that. Yeah. All right. Now let's get into the main boiling tension wave, and let's explore my greatest disappointment out of all Friday. Mr. Air Marshal Zed Nesbitt. And only because it's not compatible with the Airborne Elite. That's why I'm disappointed. And Brian, hello, Brian Austin there in chat.
You said that. I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that like a couple shows ago.
I know people told me, okay, Ryan, just prepare to be disappointed, and don't be.
No
too
one was supposed to say
anything. So I'm not too disappointed. I'm not too disappointed. But people were just cautioning me, like it's probably not going to happen. So I'm like, okay.
Well, you do have to remember these were pre-designed. These were AOA, and they have like they retained a lot of the original, and this was one of the ones that they didn't launch. They didn't get to launch during the crowdfund.
Right.
So
we had no idea.
These powers had already been established. Yeah.
Right.
And then whatever adjustment went through during the playtesting phase, I don't know what was the original. I never saw. This is what I got to see. So I'm assuming more or less this was kind of what was the original, but I don't know if the Airborne Elite was included in the OG.
You just spoiled it with NGC is the problem.
NGC, the NGC vibe, yeah.
I actually don't remember.
But last Friday as well, though, because Joe, like me and Joe were going through some of these, just reviewing them on his channel. The more he disliked this, the more I started actually liking it. The more I started defending it a little bit more, actually, to where it's just like, well, Joe, it actually works good for the glide strikers, and carrying glide strikers across the field and such, and I mean,
well, Ryan, what if they come out with an Airborne Elite 2.0 and they are a little bit more modified because they've been on Valhalla for so long?
I think that's a glide
they
striker,
also have sky hooks.
Yeah, this is true.
I have a lot of strong opinions on Zed Nesbitt. I think something got lost in the transition from AOA to now, because the Vorids that exist, mostly Skyhook, isn't very effective in this current state. I think it could get more effective, but the Tanukis right now that theoretically you would work with already have movement, forwardness and disengage, so they don't really need that pickup. Decker kind of helps, but the glide strikers, if they get next to someone, they're probably dead at that point. So it's kind of like, I don't know what a good way to use Skyhook is, but maybe more units will make him better.
Other Vorids, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more Vorids.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got to save those Vorids. Oh yeah. Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. I mean, you might not have the Airborne Elite the way you wanted to go with this, but in Tales of Valhalla, you can make that happen.
Oh, of course, and more than likely, yes, exactly. That's there, my guy.
Back in the Hasbro version of Age of Annihilation, were the polar bears Vorid, or were they separate Ursine like they are now?
They were Ursine. They were Ursine.
But they bonded with.
They were always Ursine. They were always Jandar. They were always bonded with good guy champions.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually discussed internally maybe making them also bond with I think it was Volarak or Jandar. I preferred leaving them only Jandar, and in the end, that's the way we went. This conversation, particularly Jason's concern, which I think is a well-founded one, reminds me of what the huge, or hopefully huge, customs designing community brings to the table in the Heroscape community. Make those. Is Renegade working on a squad that'll fit with this? I have no idea, but y'all can make one.
This is true.
Yep.
And and I want to see it. I want to see the pirate squads. I want to see all that stuff that's missing. Do it yourselves.
And Team Ski makes a good point. And this is one thing I do like about Air Marshal Zed Nesbit is the fact that he can melee and he can just stay back and snipe, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. Where he can just fly around everywhere and just, got a nice range of 6 attack of 3. That's not bad. Easily turn that into attack.
I have a plan.
Yeah.
I have a plan how to use this guy. Is Sayland up to someone's start zone, boosted by Akrala, and then just summon the blimp and crash into the start zone.
Lord.
That's going to be my big game play.
Dude.
Oh, you just see Sayland appear and strike the ground with her spear, and his flaming blimp comes out of the grate. And it's just like, what the that's insane. Oh man. I would actually love to see that play just to see how it would work. That's crazy.
Gosh.
But yeah, so
oh man,
I mean, disappointed, but it's all right. It's all right. I think
5 attack AOE attack area of effect attack is nothing to sneeze at. Nope. I think Skyhook is more just a ribbon feature. I don't think it's a core feature. But crash landing is really, really fun to use strategically because it is very limiting. But it's a fun if you can get a group of low defense units bunched up together, like kind of very anti-orc tech right here. You can really put a hole in an army right there.
I love that term ribbon feature as opposed to core feature. That was great.
But I do feel like Skyhook should have been a core feature. Because crash landing multiple times during a game, I don't get it. I don't understand
You're
that.
not supposed to.
It's a reinforced steel blimp. That's why you can crash.
The balloon pops and explodes like the Hindenburg, and then just reforms, and then
it's made of metal. The metal crashes into somebody, then he flies out. It's like a ramming, type of thing. It's just called crash landing.
It should have been ram landing, then crash. You're crashing. It should happen once per game. It should have been a Bolt of the Witherwood style end feature, and then he gets out. Then he gets out and then ties a rope to it, and he's now skyhooking and pulling this thing around the map for the rest of the game.
Joe, I agree with you, but that's
I guess it's one of those things. We'll just be like, we'll live with this. That's
yeah. I mean, if it's got to crash, everybody's got to jump out. If they're hanging on to the blimp,
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Any other final thoughts on this particular Vord unit? All right.
He's big.
He's big. Actually, we'll mention that one more thing. Huge 15. Huge 15.
Yeah, might be one of the biggest figures.
Yeah, because I mean,
and he's supposed to be the biggest of the new figures, I believe.
Iron Lich, and I have Iron Lich right beside me here, is a huge 11, and I mean, is that big? Huge 11. So 15. Yeah, that's pretty high. Pretty high. Let me fly.
So I think y'all can save all the new figures. It's going to be the most massive a figure we're going to be getting.
This is going to be really interesting in the map. Yeah,
that's one thing I thought about the Age of Annihilation campaign that I appreciated and thought was also crazy. It was just how massive the plastic was. Like these aren't like they weren't skipping on the models. They're chunky. Like even like the bears and stuff like that. They're all big.
The bears are
they're pretty.
Yeah. All right, who's next?
All right. I just want to mention in the chat, Iceman 3317 is saying, I think they will give Vord support in the future with the breaking the bonding with Ursine and possibly changing the story. They removed half of what makes the Vords good, so they'll have to. Interesting thoughts. All right. Imperator Kane. Valhalla's version of an ATST, and I can't be any
I
more
was
happier with
just
this.
gonna say, every time my
Over
first
the
thought, I thought
AT-RT,
Star Wars.
Yep, exactly. This is the first thing we thought when we saw this during the Avalon Hill campaign. You know.
Yep.
I feel like it's very much inspired by that. So
And,
I wish there was a chicken in there.
And Stomp is not Chomp. Actually, someone left a comment in your chat, Joe, when we went over this. That Stomp is not Chomp.
Right.
It's not some. It's actually similar to another unit.
Torkelna.
Torkelna.
Yep.
It's a retrain of the Torkelna power.
Right.
Yeah, it has a bit more versatility. I think people don't realize than Torkelna. Just because you can use this at any point while moving. So this is a great way to break out of engagement and reposition yourself. And Torkelna, with Kane having a range component, he's able to kind of break free and then fire back, and he can kind of skitter around if you play him effectively.
And
he's costed perfectly.
He can also stomp up and down steps, which is like that's how you beat Torkelna, is you just stand
has to be same level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't move very far, but
so
doesn't
versatile.
have to. You know, I mean, 5 move isn't bad for this, I guess.
This doesn't.
5 move 5 range though is good.
The art design on this one, this is not a Renegade thing, but the art design here just feels a little lost. Like this is Volaric, and it's got like the mean
metal
Darth Vader face and
Sure.
the Imperator name. Everything about it is like bad guy, except that he's cute and fluffy.
That's the draw.
Hey, I want my bad guys cute and fluffy sometimes. No.
But
He does have a machine gun, a Gatling gun, actually.
Yeah.
So
he's like with a good guy general. Like it just feels. I don't feel like that's kind of earned, but maybe Jeremy can write it up a little more.
If you want to say something about the lore, Jeremy, you know.
To be determined. It's ongoing stuff. So if you remember what Lee said about Boiling Tension, the story arc of Boiling Tension will be revealing once this drops. So like you look this, we're looking at what, June, August time frame. So around that time, right? In the June, August time frame, that's when we get to learn more about Valeric, because the word Boiling Tension refers to her arrival. So that's when all that stuff's gonna happen.
And to crabs.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get to those. We're gonna get to those.
But like, somebody thought boiling crabs. I get it. That's funny. Like somebody thought,
boil the crabs.
That's how you
don't
cook.
do that.
That's how you cook crab. You have to boil it.
Well, not those ones. They're already kind of boiling.
What if
They're
there's
already
this giant
pre-boiled.
ogre with a pot? He just carries a pot and throws hot water.
You know, somebody's got to 3D print a big pot so I can have these crabs just coming out of it. You know, just animate these crabs come out. Anyway, okay, we're gonna get into crabs in a minute. Like, save the crab jokes. Save the crab references. I know we're building to that. Let me say.
Core Defense 5 life is kind of the golden stat line. Like, if you can get to that point, your survivability increases like by 30-40%.
Pretty solid unit. It really is. As far as like the stats is, and the stomp is just like the chef's kiss on the thing. I mean, and Justin did say something in the chat too. Like when it comes to this one as well as Nesbit, you have to purchase them individually. You know, which I mean, it's like, yep. It's something.
It's great for giveaways though. For if you know, it's hard to justify like $55, but you could scrounge up $25
actually
for a giveaway. So I personally appreciate that.
Thank you, Josiah, for giving me that idea. Actually, that's I keep that in mind. Actually,
he looks fun to me. As he's essentially a standalone figure. He is a standalone figure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in a faction, but he doesn't benefit from it.
Offer anything, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But he looks like a fun standalone hero. I'm a fan.
Same. All right.
Curious to see what Delta does with the pricing. I wonder if it'll come down just a little bit.
I think
maybe possibly, 130. Yeah.
Oh, and he's single space. I didn't know if he was single or double. Single space makes him so much more versatile.
Well, that's what. If he was double spaced, then you couldn't have him stomping up and down steps.
The mini kind of looks less evil. I mean, the machine is kind of evil, but he still looks for a woodland creature, you know, on top of just an evil mechanized thing.
Part of me kind of wants to get him unpainted. because I kind of wanted to make it less black.
Definitely so.
I'm curious to see what people do when they paint him, because I think he can be. I think that the vision of the design can be done better than
actually. You know what this reminds me of?
Like an army green.
Star Wars Rogue One, when you had that creature taking that Gatling gun when they're going into what's it, a Sarek, or you know they're getting in, and he's just like just buzzing things. You just see him for like a 5 seconds, but everybody loved that. Just seeing, you
gotta love Bistad, the space monkey.
Yeah, it's just reminds me of that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me go back. Yep. Okay. What's next? Okay. Now this one, I do rather. Scavarok.
Giant centipede with
I'm so glad
bullets at us.
I'm so glad this isn't a promo and we can just get this right away.
Yes. Remember that, guys, when they were like, this is never gonna happen, you're never gonna get this unless we make this happen.
Oh my goodness.
Here we are.
I mean, this is only a huge 9 though.
And
this is only a huge 9.
And Jeremy, to defend Chris, I know he said that because that was his instructions, right? I mean, that was
I wasn't blaming him. God, no.
Hasbro was like, Chris. Yo, you don't get this out, it's done forever. And so he just recited what he was told, and I think but then
I know there's other people to blame for that.
Yeah, he found a way to circumvent it. Like, huge shout out to Chris. He found a way to circumvent it. Got this in the hands of Renegade. They found a way. Because what he told me at Gen Con was that he just handed them all the STLs. So I was like, shoot. Well, it looks like we're getting all of it. And lo and behold, here we are. Scavarith is no longer a special required to be completed mini, or there's no lock to this. You can just get it. So
also he was theoretically exclusive to the HasLab. So
he was going to be like, you would have had to back the HasLab to get him, because Hasbro had made that a requirement. From what I understand, you had to have exclusives in order to incentivize backing, and that was one of those incentives. But now, he's available now.
So Skateboard has the wonderful. If you ever go to Skateboard's YouTube channel, he's just got the most wonderful zingers that he just gets. I know he gets off on the fly, and just so imaginative. He says, "Freaking love Robo Caterpillar." Yep.
Yeah. This was a favorite at the con. I got to show this off at the con. People loved him. So
this guy is
fantastic sculpt. The sculpt is awesome.
Oh,
I love this.
Go back to it. There you go.
Oh man, look at that dude.
His bio, Jeremy, gives me lots of. I have a whole board of conspiracy theories. No one else is really thinking about this, but the Vorid Isonet connection. No one's like saying, what's the connection there?
Right.
I have a board with like lines. I'm like, okay, so
keep it up.
Vorid Glide Strikers has a robot hand that is the same as the Iron Lich Viserai.
You noticed that? You know that? Yeah. Yeah.
I did.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's Jeremy. You definitely need to join me on Wednesday, Jeremy, so you can kind of connect.
This one's harvesting.
That's a really good point. Yep, very good point.
I'm making a big video about it. I'm like, what is the connection? Because the Eisenek are so like catchy about like, oh, we're from this planet, but not really. And like, there's this guy going after the same material as the Vorids.
Yeah. Now, so what you just said right there, that's the important thing you want to, especially with the Vorid. There's a certain resource that we got the name,
or whatever.
Yeah. So this was a creation of Williams. So shout out to William. Really cool idea.
This is a well-written bio. Shout out to William.
Yeah, William did a really good job with this concept, but they created the concept that's known as Silene.
Right? Yep.
And Silene is a fuel resource that is extremely important to the Vorid. It fuels their machines. It gives them the ability to do all the stuff they have with all their weapons, everything like that. However, you can see at a certain point, this obsession with Silene did something. So that's
the Vorids
read the bios
and the Eisenek.
It's
all coming together.
Keep an eye on the bios, read the stories, and we'll develop it as each launch goes, because then you get more of that like saga of what happened, things like that. So, but yeah, Silene. What I've been telling people is like the Silene must flow. That is what I've been saying. So.
All right. Any thoughts on the card itself? For this
I
card?
love the art of like the bullet casings just flying off.
Yep.
S tier art, yeah, it's one of the best.
Yes, it's Nerf for nothing.
Nerf for nothing.
Bro, a Scavarith Nerf gun crossover would be insane.
Hands down. I mean, give me
you get
give
to
me those
hold
guns,
both
dude.
of his guns as a Nerf gun. Like,
I'm just trying to imagine this figure being exclusive because it feels like it completes so much of the Eisenach faction. Like, just that triple turn you get to take theoretically with the Iron Lich, the attack, just those monster stats. Like, you don't even have to have another Eisenach in the army. Just
185 points isn't bad.
7 life.
Yeah, 185 points isn't bad for it. It really isn't to include it, in your army. It's not bad at all.
Like, it's got better stats than Nilfheim, who's similarly priced.
Mm-hmm.
Just baseline stats, not specials, but yeah.
Justin says Battle Surge looks so much fun. And Team Ski's saying, yay, more blue and orange. I think he's being sarcastic. There's a lot of blue. There's a lot of orange. But,
hey, so the blue is important. The blue is important.
Jandar blue is important. And one thing about the orange that I just want to say real quick. Get unpainted. You can change it to a different color. That's what I plan to do with my stuff. So, yeah. Go ahead.
So, to let you know that you got to consider the root words for the word Sialine, right? Cyan.
Okay.
What is on his body?
There you
go. Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep.
So it's his lifeblood kind of that makes him mechanized.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Interesting.
There you go.
Interesting.
So Sialine refers to that blue. Anything blue you see on the Eisenach is the Sialine.
Okay, interesting. Now I got to be careful
so
how
that would
I
mean
paint.
That's also what the vial injection is from the Lich.
Well, I mean, and that remember, Heroscape has always been the game that you play, right? You can paint Scavarith however you want.
Sure.
But the name Sialine comes from the blue that's used on those Eisenach.
On the OG stuff.
What I did, because I don't want to paint an unpainted mini, is I got the painted minis and then I touched them up as I saw fit. And so what I ended up with was ones that looked quite different from ones that were in the box, because I'm not Josiah and I'm not going to invest that time. Which even I love painting and I highly recommend it. It's very soothing, but just for me.
Oh, I love painting. I started painting the battle blocks. I can't stop painting minis now. It's like I've been cursed.
I must have painted.
The pre-painted are a great base to start from if you want to like not do the base layering and just kind of do some shading and some highlights. They're really easy to build up from.
Yeah, and I learned a bunch of different little techniques also just trying to. So anyway, I do recommend that, and that would be a great way to sort of mute the orange if the orange is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Just put a brown wash on it, and it comes down a whole lot, and it's a little bit more grimy, a little bit more clean. Is what I definitely recommend in that regard.
All right. Well, how about we move on to the next one? And wait, I gotta. What is the next? Oh, that's the next one. Okay.
Everyone's waiting for this.
Yeah,
Here we go. The crabs. We have the crabs. Oh, they're so tasty. They might melt your mouth, but they're so tasty. Yeah.
You have to remember only dragons can eat them. Everyone else does not have a good time.
Right. So. Still tasty though. If the dragons like them, it is the 100% guarantee recommend. No, I really I just gotta say something. Look, I don't know how effective this is going to be competitively, but can you imagine under 400 points? Under 400 points, you can get 8 squads of these guys and just rip the battlefield apart. That is so freaking cool, or hot, should I say? Because look, I understand. It's like, okay, well, you drop some other tiles on the field. Yeah, okay, great, but it's freaking lava tiles that can change an opponent's thoughts on how they're going to move their army and potentially change the game. And attack 3, defense 3.
But if you have 24 of those guys,
yes,
and some of them
yes,
at least are going to be molten lava.
Damn right.
How many lava packs do they want us to buy?
A lot.
It comes with lava.
So when you
buy,
it
comes with the lava.
Yeah,
that's more so.
Lava's in the
that's
pack.
awesome.
So you get,
I'm sold
the
then.
lava set, and then there's lava in every.
Oh, I'm freaking sold. Look, and I know it's like they're Draco crustaceans or whatever. They're bugs, okay? So I'm all for the freaking bugs. I'm all for the freaking bugs. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite units.
That makes it more worth it.
Off
Wow.
the family tree, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. My wife calls crustaceans bugs, so I'm just going to go with what she says.
The bugs of the
They do
sea.
have 8 legs. I get it. Well,
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
There's
bios.
What's up?
Jeremy, you posted in the chat that this was one of your bios.
Yeah. So I wrote the lore for the molten crustacean, and yeah. So this is actually really special to me. This is gonna sound really nerdy, but you gotta bear with me, right? It's a really special opportunity that Renegade gave me specifically
for the dragons.
Well, so if Tails might know more about this, but my Heroscape history, right? My legacy or whatever you want to say. Back in 2010, I got the idea to start posting like little snippets of a fan fiction I was in my mind. There was like some cool ideas I had, and I was posting a what if story of something that was going on Icaria because the dragons had been summoned away. And I was like, well, if the dragons are considered gods and now they're gone, what did they leave behind? And that was the premise of the story. And so I started posting these like little chapter bits on the forums, right? And then all the Heroscapers on the forums would comment back, and they were just like, "That's really good." And it was the first time I had ever posted my work online. Committed to it, was like, "Hey, I'm gonna see what people say." So I was really shy. I mean, like this is the stuff I make. It's hard to share. But I decided to post, and I called it Chronicles of Icaria. I mean, yeah, easy naming conventions and all. And I posted this fan fiction on the forums, and that was it. That was the catalyst for everything I've ever done creatively. Because from being able to do that fanfic, they inspired people who commented on it. They inspired me to pursue writing more. I tried writing. I got into writing more like longer chapters, books, stuff like that. Then I've just been writing since because of that, right? And then, so now, right, 15 years later, I get to help create the lore of Icaria, the world I was working on back when I was in high school. It's insane.
Nice.
It is insane.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is like a complete, and they knew this. They knew this because William told them that I worked on this fanfic for Icaria, and he was like, "Hey, let Jeremy write the Icarian lore." Because he did it back in the day when he was, awesome. And I was like, "Oh man, that's crazy." So it's just being able to fanfic Icaria 15 years ago, and now being able to actually make something for Icaria for real. Because here's the thing,
you've been holding this in for like half a year, dude. Too,
Dude, well, okay, so I knew just now that the NDA's now my NDA's I don't have to worry about it, right? I knew about this in August. I knew about these crabs in August, and I was sitting there screaming for months, like keeping myself like. But they mentioned that to me, and then when they offered it as part of the deal, the stuff I work on, they were like, "Yeah, you should work on this because you wrote for Icaria," and I was just like, "Oh, my heart," because it was just nice to be recognized for having be able to do that back in the day and all that kind of stuff. So really cool. I wanted to take my time with it because they gave me that special, I don't know, vibe check. It's just like, yeah, I wrote this back in the day. Now I get to write it now. And so it was just really cool.
Brian says Crabverse. Let's go.
I won't do a big lore dump, but I will say one thing that I'm really proud of that I got to do. I got to create a region name for Icaria.
Yeah, I saw that.
The land of Parola. That was my invention.
Nice.
So I'm slowly getting the world build like new places on these planets.
Icaria is such a rich world. Like there's so many stories that like you probably know more than one, but like it's such a rich world. But like apart from the dragons, we haven't.
That's all we've ever had. This is the first time we're exploring outside of the dragon tropes that were explored in here in Icaria. And I mean, the thing with the lava crabs, it was like, yeah, they're dragon food, and I was just like, oh, that's so crazy. And thinking about like just like the implications, right? Dragons lording over other people, dragons forcing tribute out of everyone, and then some of these other things they just eat because they're like, whatever. So there's going to be obviously now it gets into NDA territory. There's going to be future developments happening on this planet associated with stuff that you see now. and then just it'll continue to develop whenever they get to go into these kind of things. And it's just nice to start paving the road for a world like this, because it it wasn't there, right? That design space always existed. That design space was always there, but we only ever got to introduce dragons in the OG line. So now it's like, what else is on Icaria? And that's what we're working with. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
That's dope.
That's how Hasbro kind of treated all the worlds, right? I mean, like the world that I think is the most fully developed in the sort of the Heroscape canon, I think, is Arcturus, which is C3V's, because
C3V's world.
Yeah, it could like tell very particular stories about it, but Hasbro and it's forward and backward never really did. I love that. I love working in that space. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's fun because it's like, this is the thing. It's just like they're with the dragons, and I read them. I read these bios as much as I could. Try to get that tone, try to get that understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I think I want to say it's like the first two are just really really light in context. Then they introduce King Nilfheim. That's the one that has like a good bit of stuff talking about like he was a protector of the people, all that stuff. And so I'm grabbing those, and then we go into Braxis, still not really a lot. Then Zelrig's like essay.
Zelrig is like a whole.
It's a whole essay
bio. And that's not even about Zelrig.
And it's not even about Zelrig. Yeah, it's through the perspective of one of his followers, and I was just like, wow, this is really hard. This is really hard. I don't know. Like, I'm like, what? Like, so, this is where I had to start thinking of like ways to expand the idea of the planet, because there just was no, visual or, just markers to be able to work a lava crab into. And so I suggested the word Parola as like to open up a new region in Icaria that would associate with these crabs. Because here's the fun trivia for today. The word Parola comes from the Greek roots for fire pot. It literally just means fire pot in Greek. So the lava crabs come from fire pot in Icaria. That's what it is. So
very cool.
Yep.
So my two thoughts about this design when it comes to the design on the card. Vegetarian 18, who some of you guys know, outstanding playtester, has said about these that they I mean, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that they have the potential to be disruptive, and for that reason he's interested in it. And I think I've come around to thinking the same thing. Like, for 45 points, what are you getting? Can they affect the map? Yes. Is it going to be interesting to see how people weaponize that? Yeah, because it's not obvious to me that you're getting a lot for your 45 points.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you make that work? That's what I want
to figure out. I mean, I think
there's lots of crab tech I've been developing.
You need, I think you need overwhelming numbers to make it effective. Personally, no more than like 4 or 5 squads.
Here's the thing about design, though, that I was talking about before. Like, it's all got to work. So you can kind of see the theme, though it's not obvious to me why something would become a heap of lava field just because it died, even if it was hot, even if it stayed hot. Why is it a whole lava field? Like, all right, but okay, setting that aside, the main problem here, which some of you guys were already talking about before, these sculpts, 2 of them in particular, are ridiculous.
Holding weapons?
And Josiah, you keyed on the same one I did. Like, that one holding the hammer, it doesn't look operable. Like, I don't, right? Like, how do the parts move so that hammer actually swings? I don't see it. Like,
tap.
They jump up. They jump up and they get leverage, right?
Don't have the joint function.
The crabs jump.
They jump, yeah.
So I think I will say this. I play so much Final Fantasy, right?
There you go.
Right? Square Enix properties. I play so much Square Enix properties that when they pitched this to me and they were like, "Hey, can you start creating the lore for this?" I went straight to Final Fantasy to understand how that kind of stuff would work, because in Final Fantasy you can make anything happen, literally, and it's the core of it, though. Just to remember, right? The game is it's really cool. It's just fun,
Jeremy,
silly stuff.
It's not this silly though. It's not like look at the one holding the sword. Like there's
knife.
Heroscape is like it's whimsical, but it's not self-referential.
I was about to say it's got a high level of whimsy.
It does have a high level of whimsy, but it is not on its face a joke. And it is not self-aware. And this looks like it's into the sort of self-aware jokey category. And somebody looked at these sculpts and said, yes, this is what I want.
Well,
and I think
maybe it's because these crabs are self-aware.
They break the fourth wall.
And if they're fighting dragons, they're not going to fight dragons with just their claws. I mean that was my
yes, they
reasoning.
can.
They're not. They don't fight dragons though.
No,
That's
they
the
don't
whole
fight
point.
dragons.
Oh, they
you
don't
got
fight
you got to read the bio. Read the
Okay.
like.
Yeah, I've read the full bio.
Yeah, they get.
They are dragon
That's
snacks.
They're just
But
dragon.
it still
food.
doesn't explain the weapons though.
Yeah,
They're scavengers. Like it
Aquila
makes
summoned
sense,
them.
but
Aquila summoned them
also
to
I think
Valhalla.
they could have just been as crabs too. Like it's joke.
We
Like, I
have
agree with
spiders in
Pat's-
Heroscape as spiders.
but the spiders don't have like Tommy Hawks in their hands. They're just
No,
spiders.
exactly. They don't. They don't
Yeah.
because the full appeal of the lava crabs is the fact that they're lava crabs.
Lava crabs, not holding
Not
weapons.
lava crab with a knife or
wielding
chains.
lava weapons.
Yeah.
They're not, what are they, a gang?
Warrior.
Wait,
Behold
wait,
the
I wanna
average
ask-
British king.
Wait, can I ask Jeremy a question?
But
You
yeah,
guys
Jeremy.
are like mentioning about the knife and
Hold
the
on.
hammer, but no one's mentioning the chain yet. I'm like,
The chain.
Okay. Wait,
you knew the chain?
important question before we go further. Jeremy,
Yeah.
where do the weapons come from? Do they get those in Valhalla, or do they come
get
with
those.
them
Yeah,
from,
that's
like,
the
there?
thing. They get those in
Okay.
Valhalla. They're
So,
not
okay,
getting
well,
those.
like, you know what?
Aquila just passes
doing
them
the
off.
job. Your strong
Because-
claws aren't doing the job. We're gonna give you special weapons. You guys go over to the armory, pick out what you like, and well, you know what? I think you guys will be good.
All 2,000 of you.
You
Chain,
do
I love
have to
it.
also remember. Don't
Yeah.
forget. You do have to remember, right? Aquila summoned dwarves, right? So it's
Okay.
like her army has actual forge masters in it.
Oh, this is
So
true.
it's like
Okay.
yeah.
They
That's
became
the-
friends with
like,
the dwarves.
You know what? We're gonna suit you up.
I would.
That's what. There you go. There you go. That's what I want you to think. I want you to take that thought. No, seriously, because the thing is, everybody in Valhalla has an intention, right? They're trying to claim the well springs. That's the point. How they claim the well springs is they get these visions of all these different things from different worlds, and they're just like, oh my god, that might work. That might work.
Got them out of
That
the
might- and they're summoning this stuff in mass to Valhalla to help them with this goal to get the well springs, right? And sometimes, like, and I did a lot of like back reading to kind of figure out vibes. And for example, Vidar didn't trust the Primodons when he summoned them. He was like, man, they're just monkeys. What the hell are they gonna do? And then he realized they were intelligent monkeys. So I like kind of that's the same kind of vibe with the crabs. It's like, crabs, what? And then you bring them over, and it's like, oh, hey, they can help fight. They can help claim land because I borrowed a lot of that referencing from the Steam Alley scenario because that's what the lava set that connects with the Takala area, and Volcarion borders Takala like directly, right? So that is highly contested territory between Utgar and Aquila. So it's like, okay, so Aquila doesn't know how to fight in a volcano. She's from the jungle, and she sees these crabs who are from the volcanoes, and she's like, well, shit, I'm gonna try to let me see if that works. And this is how that's the idea. It's like you're having all these visions hit you, and you gotta try to figure out what is effective. And sometimes visually, from just looking at them, you can't really tell. But you gotta like hope and summon and see what happens. Like Vidar
Lava
did.
crabs, you're my
Vidar-
only hope.
Well, that's the thing. Vidar took a shot on the Primodons and realized, oh, okay, they're working. And so I was like trying to do that same idea. It's like Aquila's like, I need something to fight, protect the Volcarion. So that's
Sure.
why
And I know
I
people
think-
go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say people in the comments are talking about all the other animals that are in there. We're talking about the snakes or the
It's good thoughts.
someone help me. What?
The vipers.
The vipers, right?
Yeah,
The polar bears. What was the other one? The gorillas, right? But they all had some kind of like stance and formation that they were walking on legs or slithered with a giant tail, had arms. Like, these are just small little crabs. You know, they could have just been crabs. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? Imagine, take the weapons away, right? But imagine if their main appeal was just the idea. The reason that they came to Valhalla was that they of course they died, but they also came rebirth through lava. So that when you rolled that 19 or 20, yes, a lava child would spawn, but so would another dead lava crab. So they could essentially keep coming back, and that's how they control territory, because they control the land. They kind of burn through things and stop the enemy to come to the wellspring. But
people don't like crabs.
All thoughts are good thoughts. I think, you know.
In defense of Jeremy, if you search for crab with knife on the internet, you do find a video of a crab swinging a knife around. Apparently,
this is
it's a meme.
Okay, they have that. I mean, when I was working on this, someone had posted a mini of a crab holding a grenade, and I was just like, "Whoa, okay." So like people do this all the time. They give weapons to crabs. I don't know why, but that is a thing in various contexts. So it's like,
do they know how to use
battle
it
all time? You know, it's like
if they're available, you know, you might as well just give it to them.
It's not the giving them weapons. It is these sculpts. They look like it looks like they were like Lego crabs with those little like pincer Lego hands.
Yeah.
And then you took the knives, you took the like little weapons away from the knights and put them in the hands of the crabs. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like
they could even wield them. They can't use this.
It looks like putting, like, here's Mr. Potato Head, and you put like a helicopter and fixed it onto his nose. Like, it just doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Like the chain one almost makes sense, because like a spinning crab could like do, and then the chain would swing. Like that one I can forgive. But the other ones were just, and Renegade is allowed to make mistakes. Hasbro made mistakes. I'm sure I made mistakes when I was working for a Hasbro too. But these are mistakes. Someone looked at these sculpts and said good enough, and shouldn't have.
And I mean, I'll say this. I mean, you got to ask yourself the question. I mean, for me personally, I kind of like it. I think it gives a good sense of whimsy. It might be a little too much. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with that. But I asked myself this question: if they would have shown them last Friday and it just would have been the crabs by themselves with no weapons, would we have been okay with that? I think we would have been just fine with that. And if would we have said, oh, we think they need some weapons in their claws? No. So I think based off that question, I think more likely I would lean towards, they probably would have been better off without them. So yeah, that's how I see it.
I think it's the crab species they chose. I wish they chose something like a king crab. Like, imagine if they had like a giant.
We need to get one like that, actually.
And then you could justify it or something.
Right. But and you hit it for massive damage.
I need actually
like one big claw.
New dream just announced tonight. We want a big frickin' king lava crab. That is the dream now. That is the dream.
With a bazooka.
Yes.
I will give Renegade credit here. They obviously listened to us that we love the translucent material for the Obsidian Guards, and they put that for the crabs. You know, if they didn't, imagine if these were just painted red with like little yellow stripes on them, like it would have not hit. Like that's its redeeming quality in terms of the sculpt is that they are translucent. They got that kind of classic callback to the Obsidian Guards, which I think is a nice touch. They probably had to do a whole new modeling and molding process to get those released. That's why the unpainted are a separate SKU and they're just gray.
Sure.
So it's probably, I appreciate that little effort and that listening to fans. Who knew such little guys could be so divisive?
I didn't expect. I did not expect the explosion and just the difference of. Because I will say this: the one interesting thing I will note is that to people who have never played a drop of Heroscape at all, they love the lava crabs.
Well, yeah, and this is another thing I was say. People are just be like, "Oh, these are so cute," and they're just gonna buy them.
Have,
you know,
everybody at Con Nuga was so stoked to see these guys, and so it's like I think for those that have played for a very long time, it's really jarring, but it may be this is a better offering for newer fans or something like that. You know, it may not be.
I'll look at a bunch though.
Your spiel, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like trying to limit you or anything. It's like
there's conversation in the chat, Jeremy, that would respond. I think what the guys in the chat are saying is the same thing I had, which is that it's not that they're crabs. It's that they are like Maryland blue crabs. So like extend their legs, give them a little bit of height, so that and a little bit of sort of extension to the arms, because like definitely a different type of crab, this might have been a little bit easier. Or like put a shield on one, because a shield is something like one could like hold a shield. That would work.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's not the fact that they're crabs. It's the particular sculpt. But I do think a different type of crab, like with longer legs, would open up opportunities to do a sculpt that isn't so darn.
Like deep sea ocean crabs have like much longer legs and they spread out.
Woohoo, celebrating, got 100 messages tonight. Woohoo, and we're not even, I don't know if we're even halfway through this stream.
We haven't even talked about the crab's powers, which is the main source of contention, I think, in a lot of the community. For me personally, I've always wanted to add lava to the game. It's just something that feels natural, but the more you play, you do realize that it's kind of a problem in a sense, but not in the way, actually the biggest problem these guys have is not the lava field, it's the height is the biggest issue they have, because creating that height can really create some unwinnable or problematic scenarios where you can have a single unit on a not where a double space unit can't get to, and that's the biggest issue. Also, there's just weird stuff you can do. You can build a tower that's 10 spaces tall and put a flyer on top of it. You know, there's too much openness. I equated this to when like Steve entered Smash Bros. Like the community went just as equally wild because of all the wacky stuff you can do.
Josiah, I don't think you can build that 10 high tower. I think that I am curious to see how, and if you think it through while I'm talking, you will figure out why. I'm curious to see how these dangers really manifest. Because I think it's going to be hard. Josiah, did you figure out why you can't have that 10 tile high tower yet?
Well, it's mainly the height, but assuming they drop down from a equally high castle onto it, right?
You have to, like, the one has to get up on top of the tower.
Yep.
And it can only climb so high. And once it's so high, it's no longer even engaged with the things that are below it. So it could just be ignored.
You could just have a staircase. You're making you could. I mean, like I said, with 360 points, you get 24.
At that point, you're losing the game. You're losing the game just to build a tower. It's
I want to see what people do. That is interesting to me. I'm not.
It's a great one to test out.
Problem. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I'm not sure that it's good, but at least it's different.
Yeah, it is very different.
Other fun tech. You can break up a road by putting lava tiles down
easily.
With Washia, you can put water tiles on top of the lava for height or shadow with Mika. The ruling still isn't clear if it works on glyphs. If it does, it's significantly better, but I haven't gotten a clear answer on that one yet. So
I would imagine no.
Mike was thinking yes, so it's but then I haven't got a clear answer on it. So because there's no empty space, it's fit normally onto the space, so it doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
Glyph
Wait, hold on.
Prevents...
Can I put a lava tile on top of a glyph? I'll tell you.
Well, it's more would you put the glyph on top of the lava tile, but if it's molten lava, you can't put tiles onto. So there's some weird feedback with glyphs. I haven't gotten clarification.
It's going to be a lot of questions to be asked when you're playing these in tournaments for sure. when it comes to.
I wonder if they're going to end up being sort of ground rules in organized play.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you introduce anything crazily new like this. It's
no, that could have been fixed.
Bring up questions.
If the empty space language would have resolved, I don't know why it's not on there.
All right. Well, I knew this was going to be a fun discussion. Any other thoughts before we move on? Because we do have to move on. We're good.
Oh, I pair them up with Cosmet for a fun time.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I will say I'll probably jumping off here. I got to work early in the morning.
Yeah, okay, I was about to say that I got a shift tomorrow.
Okay,
so
okay. Then
stick around for a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. Well, Alex,
I'm still good. I don't want
to. Okay, Alex, glad you could join us tonight. And again, everybody, check out Nobleman Nick's channel where Alex sometimes is on. And appreciate you coming on with us tonight, sir.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I wish to do this more often in the future. Some more.
It was nice to meet you, Alex.
Be glad to have you.
Nice to meet you too.
Later.
You guys have a great night.
Later.
Bye. Bye.
All right, let me move on to the. I think it's like for these crabs, they come in a pack with another unit. Actually, and so this was my one thought actually before reading on this next unit that we're looking at.
Now this is the one I wanted to talk.
Yeah, the because I thought, okay, well, if I want to buy all these crabs, but they come with another unit, is this unit going to be as good? But then I understood the fact that actually you could actually have you could just buy this individual pack by itself and have these two armies just fighting against each other because they actually work well all combined together, as common squads should be. So these aren't essentially a waste. But what do we think about them? Tanuki Tricksters. I like
They're
the
like, I call them the reverse Warforge is what I keep on calling them.
Nice. Yeah.
Is how they feel.
Sure.
But yeah, they have some interesting tech, but I don't know if I fully like all of it. Like Nage Waza is the star of the show. Being able to move people is always nice, especially before attacking. But also we live in an age where there's so much other movement. It's not as impressive, especially since you have to be adjacent to them. So it's good for height and proccing leaving engagements, which is always nice. But the moving other ninjas is okay. There's not a whole lot of. I mean, moving to Sambu is always for free is always nice. But it's kind of it's a weird squad. But I think I like them.
So, it's a 2-man ranged squad.
Right.
So
yeah, it's got some range.
They do have range?
They got range.
I'm just
okay.
Right. Okay. So. I mean, I know it's late. I could talk about these guys for 45 minutes.
It's fine. I knew we were going to run a little bit late tonight, so no big deal.
Remember what I was talking about much earlier. Like, I mean, there is another unit that I really liked that wasn't from AOA. It was a Renegade design, which the Grave Grim. But the mini should match the theme. The theme should match the mechanics. This is the only design. Like, I know a lot of people are upset about the crabs or worried about the crabs. This one is the one that, for my aesthetic as a designer, is the biggest failure. Because
interesting.
Yeah. So they are ranged. They don't want to be up close and in your face, and yet that's what the special ability is. Well, what's the special ability? So we look it up. Nage Wazao, or however you pronounce that, moving an adjacent enemy one space. Seems kind of weird for something that it kind of wants to be hitting from a little bit further back. And what is Nage Wazao? It is a judo technique, which I didn't know. I just looked it up. But it's a judo technique, which, I mean, whatever. So the name of the power is pulled from the real world, which I like. I mean, I like to see that kind of connection. But why do these guys have it? They're thieves. It doesn't make, like, where you look at them, they're like cat burglars.
Right.
So,
They should be rogues, not ninjas.
so where does this judo thing come from? But okay, so they have the judo thing. Then they have this other thing, Tanuki Aruki. Okay, so what's that? That Tanuki references these sort of raccoon dogs in Japan. But the whole, like, Tanuki Aruki, if you also references these supernatural, like, yokai type, for those who know it, yokai are like these like supernatural spirits in Japanese folklore.
Oh,
and
right,
what is aruki? Aruki is another martial arts word. It's another sort of martial arts technique. So what I see on this design is what somebody loves martial arts.
Okay.
And like just shoved it all in on this car.
Just slapped it on there. You feel like that's just been slapped on.
Yeah, the minis evoke one theme, which is the sort of cat burglar. I mean, that's real strong in these minis, but the powers don't connect. And also, like, looking, I don't understand where the range is even coming from. Like,
kunai knives can be thrown.
Sure,
so in
but the sculpts don't have that.
Yeah, no. You look in his hand. He has one in his hand.
He has one knife. He has one knife in his hand. Where is the second one he's going to throw?
Well, I mean, that's the thing with ninja.
They conceal their weapons.
Oh, wait, hold on, Jeremy. So you're telling me that these sculpts are ninjas?
Yes, they're supposed to be ninja.
They are ninjas. It's in the card. On the card.
Yeah.
So why are they having bags in their hands?
Just because it's on the card doesn't mean it's in the sculpt.
Sure.
So the thing is and the thing is their design, at least what I was working with, was that they worked as rogues on Noxdorma and they learned ninjutsu on Valhalla. And so that's why there's that mix again, because we're exploring specifically with a lot of these new characters coming out is the blend of cultures that are being smashed together in the planet Valhalla. Because it's like you have all these different cultures, all these different fighting styles, all these different themes, all being put into one place, right? And especially with Valeric.
Yeah, but not all onto one card, Jeremy. Not all onto one card.
That was already made. I joined a little bit later on,
I hear you. I understand you. I hear you. I understand your relationship with this card.
Yeah.
You came later. Somebody wrote the bio and you helped with it, or you wrote it. But as like when I'm looking for sort of a unified design, what I'm seeing here is a complete failure.
Okay. I think it's a good take, Ben.
The problem is in the posing, because their posing really makes them feel like thieves. Like they have a whole bag of loot. They're not combat pose. Imagine if they were like this, have like a throwing knife in their hand. Like that conveys that they're ranged manipulators, or
keeping their identities hidden too. With the mask.
Yeah, there's so much focus on the theft aspect on the model that's never touched on. It's a big part of their presence, but they don't do anything with that. So I definitely agree from an aesthetic to power base is definitely a loss in translation.
Because the other guy with the big bag, he's just creeping. He's just kind of like, let's not try to get out of here,
Ben,
nice and slow.
They're like right here. The pouches are right there that hold the kunai.
Oh, so okay. So that pouch holds
the triangle.
Multiple...
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to describe.
Okay. If you watch Naruto,
hold on. I have
Ninja lore is all whack. Yeah.
So these are small throwing things.
Yeah, small throwing knives. Kunai are very small throwing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So they are very small. And now let's look again at the card, and the card tells us that this is an attack 3.
Yep.
So like a rifle, like a gun. Guns are 3.
Yeah, but the range is 4, so it's a shorter range of effectiveness.
Yeah,
I think I might have a problem with it if the range was like 6 or 7.
I don't.
A lot of the stats have been pretty high too. I see the trend. They should have been attack 2.
Yes. Tell me they're throwing attack 2 weapons make the sculpts look like ninjas instead of burglars. This one's all over the place. I don't like it.
All right. Any other thoughts?
It is interesting if you.
It is.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
If you look at the hit zones, there's gray parts on for the kunais or the pouches they have the kunais in. Why can't you see the nines or the pouches that they have?
Yeah, that's interesting now.
And how could you not? I don't understand. When you're looking at the model and be like, well, I what's blocking the view where it's like only that's not hittable?
Yeah, I don't know if it would even like make a difference in it or not.
I have no idea. That's so wild to me.
Yeah,
and
weird.
like the giant bag on the back, you can't hit the giant bag. I mean, I guess it's not hitting him, so I get that part. But
and Bill Flint in the chat
carrying around a giant bag.
Yeah, that's a curious thing. And Bill Flint is asking, would the Neigwaza work against the Gladiatron Cyberclaw? I don't know.
Ooh, that is a good question.
Cyberclaw. You stop moving entirely. You don't get to move at all when you're next to a Cyberclaw. So I don't think you would be able to use Nagiwaza if.
Okay.
Yeah, like because that
that is allowing you by the Cyberclaw, but you can use it on the Gladiatron to move them away from you.
There, yeah, exactly.
The tricksters aren't moving though. Gladiatrons are moving.
Yeah.
So maybe
you would be able to push someone out of the Gladiatron.
It depends on the specific setup. You can move the Gladiatron, but you can't move any figure next to Gladiatron.
I did. Could I ask a question? I'm curious to know if anyone in the chat can help with this, because there is some interest, I think, in my comments here. One of my objections is Tanuki Aruki, the name of that power, as far as I could tell, and I did try to figure it out, has like no relationship with what the power does.
What the power does, yeah.
At least with Nagiwaza.
So I do have a little link for that because I did some research for the powers, so I can like when I was writing the lore. Aruki is a term in ninjutsu, and it refers to. It's basically when an opponent maintains their positioning, they in ninjutsu they do a special sort of like sidestep where they're like they keep their their let's say I want to keep my forward facing position if I'm fighting someone, right? It's a special sort of sidestep so they can keep that position. That's what an Aruki is.
Right. So I did figure out that it was a maneuver.
It's a ninja moving technique, like a sidestepping technique.
But now look at the power.
It's not like a tactical switch. That would be if it was tactical switch 2.0.
Right.
It allows some of your other miniatures to move with
it. Feels like it's a command, be like, all right guys, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Not tactical switch. Where it's a maneuver where they're switching places or being able to move. Like for example, like imagine it's not Counter-Strike, but imagine attacking the trickster and you can't leave the engagement, but you can move to the side and it disables the attack. So if the opponent had a double attack, then you could attack again and then roll a d20, you get it, and you move to the side again. So you can keep moving around the character and dodging them if you can. So you kind of have to lock them in place for them not to move to get that attack through.
Yeah, I think this is a poor... So, I mean, I get that an Aruki is a maneuver. Mm-hmm. What I see here is a power that's not connected to that maneuver, which is just another, like, break in that solid design shape that I'm looking for.
All right.
Thank you, Joe, for expressing it.
No, thanks for the thoughts too on it. It's good. It's good to get these.
That was the one I was waiting all night for. That one and the one I really like.
That was interesting. I learned a lot from that one.
Yeah, no, I did too. No,
I thought we were going to spend 45 minutes. Well, I think we did probably spend 45 minutes on the crabs, but like, I thought the crabs would be all night.
The only thing about the Tanuki tricksters that's interesting is that you can proc leave engagement attacks with Neigwaza off other creatures that are not tricksters. So that's really the key to how you play them. That's why you move other ninjas next to them, so you can get that leaving engagement attack from other people. Although a bit hard to set up, but ultimately beyond theme and design, that's kind of I think, how you're supposed to get most of their damage out.
All right. Well, moving on to Revenant Acolytes. I love the skulls there on the.
Those are cool looking sculpts.
Yeah, they
Those
are.
Cool
Yeah,
they are. They're
See,
really
this is
nice.
what I was talking about when I appreciate the simpler designs with common squads. Like if you have to paint Miserex, it's if I had to paint 3 Miserexes in a row, it's just so many tiny little bones, you know. So I'm glad they only have like 5. It's a lot more doable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Any thoughts on these?
I really like these designs. This is you can. They're simple designs.
40 points, not bad.
They're simple designs. The powers are simple. The theme is expressed both in the powers themselves and in the base stats. This is a good design. In contrast to the last one.
And we really needed some Revna common squads anyway, because Revna needed help. Revna needed help when it came to the uniques that were coming out for it. So,
telling you, Revna's coming up. Like right now, I got I got my Ukar pin, but Revna's coming up to be one of my favorites. So
I'm pretty excited. A con attendee actually pointed this out to me while I was explaining all the new stuff. They were mentioning that you can use Rakshot and as a being able to use the soul consume ability. And so as the Revenant Acolytes die around Rakshot absorbs their souls, uses the Soul Fury attack, and then they get rezzed next to Rakshot every order marker or at the start of that round. And it's just more Soul Fury opportunities if you're able to keep that going.
Sure. And at 40 points, you can get more than way more than what you can get crabs out there.
Consume the Dead. Consume the Dead is going to be really interesting to see in coordination with Revenant Acolyte powers.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that plays in the map.
The best play with these guys is to kill one up with your Revenant hero the first turn. That way, at the end of the round, they pop up next to them, and you can start bringing them next to glyphs and moving them around the board. Like you want to attack your own Revenant Acolytes to summon them next to you at the end of the round.
And that's the thing, like even in the aesthetic, because when I was working with the Revenant Acolytes, I mean, you do any like deep dive into how cults work, right? That's what I was looking into. It's like, I mean, why are they so obsessed with her? And so I got that from the vibe, and then I put that into the bio, and you can get that from the powers. It's like they'll let Revenant heroes kill them because they're so obsessed with the fact that it's like I can come back anyway. Sure, like they would do that because they're cultists. They see Revna as the ultimate salvation, as the answer to all of life's problems, and it's just I wanted to put that in the story. They put that in the powers, so it was a cool concept.
Can I tell you something funny, Jeremy?
What's that?
When you're telling us that you read about real cults to figure out how to make. I did a lot of research into real pirates to make the pirates.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that. Yeah. So it was cool because it's like I did feel that because if I'm working on the story of a character, I should know the basis, and it's like, well, they're cultists, so I got to read about cults. And
I just like how extra scully these guys are. I mean, you're a skeleton who carries a skull, trick or treat basket.
And if you look at their sculpts, if you look at their sculpts, and of course you look at the back of the card where it says where they're from, right? These aren't just they're not Kiri. They're not. This is en masse the dead of the universe being raised by Revna. And so like that's why one has 4 arms. That's why one has wings. They're mismatched undead. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
this one does have 4 arms.
They're composed of the forces that Revna summoned in the past that had died, and then she brought them back. And now they
So are the skulls not masked? They're their actual skulls then? Is that that's the case then?
No, those are if you look, they're masked. Because
they're masked.
Okay. They worship her. Yeah, they're technically like zombies, but
they are undead,
got all this in ceremonial garb to worship her, and skulls is a big part of her motive, so she's like they use that as to represent her and things like that. So a lot of it is just that.
I'm curious to see how people paint them because all that space on the robes gives a lot of choices.
Yep,
you can do like ripped robes. You can do like
intricate designs.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna probably paint one squad really fancy, and then the rest will just be speed paint. But one will be like the leader squad with like gold etching going in the sides and some cool highlights.
Dice will give them like rainbows.
Yeah. Oh no! While we have the time, I do have a really cool reveal. There's a really special lore bit I got to do for the Revenant Acolytes specifically. So I'll mention it here. Renegade allowed me to rescue a portion of the D&D license.
Whoa.
Yes, because
really?
so this is how I'll explain it. As you know, right, Dungeons & Dragons was a part of the Heroscape franchise for that whole year, and what they had done was they introduced some of the best powers in the game. I always say that. Like, the D&D sets introduced some of the best powers in the game. The problem I have with the story is that they just took stuff from the D&D canon, and they just kind of shoehorned it into Valhalla then. So one of the things they had done was, you're going to the Underdark, but it's like, well, the Underdark is on Toril. Right, that the word Underdark refers to the underground regions of Toril. And so when they were calling the underground regions of Valhalla the Underdark, I was like, no, that doesn't really, what would be a better way to refer to that region but not have to use the word Underdark? We can't say Underdark, right? The term Underdark is trademarked. So it's like, okay, how do I refer to the underground region of Valhalla without saying Underdark? Because that's what they called it back in the day. And so I was like, hey, all right, let's go ahead and dig into some of the core, concepts of Valhalla. Well, it's Norse themed. It's Old Norse themed. So we started talking about words, and I remembered having a discussion back in 2022 with a fan in the Avalon Hill Discord about how we could change the name of the underground region. And this person like studied Old Norse, like was like researching all the words, and they posted a couple of suggestions. So I pitched those suggestions to the dev team. I was like, hey, so here's a list of some names we could use to replace the word Underdark. And we all decided to choose Mirkheim, which means dark home in Old Norse.
Okay.
And it's also it's a very nice reference to, it's the Old Norse reference. It literally means dark home, which a big part of that region in the Underdark is its lack of light. It's completely underground. They don't have that kind of the light that we would be familiar to on the surface, that kind of stuff. So it refers to that. And we were able to make an Old Norse version of the Underdark, essentially.
Nice.
And that was just exciting because now we don't have you get to talk about the Underdark without having to say Underdark.
We're free, guys. We're free.
We freed that portion of the canon and brought it to the. So
I'm so thankful for that because the concept
I want to do stuff like that because I know we have limitations, right? Especially with the D&D stuff. I love the D&D stuff, but I can't talk about it. So it's like, oh heck, well, how can I talk about the D&D stuff without talking about the D&D stuff? Change the names.
Kaboom.
And so that was my primary suggestion to the dev team, was like, let's change the names of the stuff that was introduced in the game that can still be in the game, just we need to make it more Valhallan. And then that's where that game came from. So
awesome.
Nice.
That is straight up
cool
awesome.
Concept of an underground world beneath Valhalla, riddled with the remnants of ancient past and cultists, and is like it is needed in the game. Like, that felt like the game was kind of leading up to that point, and the Underdark just kind of was slapped on over what was kind of the next.
Yeah, and I had that, and that was the thing, because I was excited about an underground region of Valhalla when they announced it, but when they called it Underdark, I was like, no, that's a D&D name, you know. And
like, you
and
can't
now
talk Norse mythology without talking about like Mordheim and all those
exactly
subworlds beneath. It's so important to it.
The best part about Mirkheim, right? It's original. Like, a Mirkheim doesn't in the Old Norse canon, but it uses Old Norse words, right? Because Heim is home, and then Mirk is actually a word that you see in Lord of the Rings, because there's a region called the Mirkwood, and it's supposed to be, it's that dark forest where Sauron was. Yeah, so I also get to make a reference to that.
Nice.
Really cool. Yep.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
yeah, okay. Saving the best for last. Let's put it that way.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is probably like my number one pick out of the whole bunch.
This has been everyone's favorite so far.
Yeah. Grave Grim. Okay, what do we want to say about it? Jason? I think were you saying something about the Acolytes earlier? I don't know if you
I was going to ask a rule question about them, but it's not that big a deal, so...
All right.
We can go back to it during the.
Was it covered? Or was it a question
No.
covered? Okay, okay. Well, we'll go back to it in a minute. Remind me. But yeah, Jason, any thoughts about this one? Grave Grim.
I mean, I suppose these are the heroes that you can summon those guys to. It's one of your options,
it's
right?
It's a common hero. That's important.
So that you can basically run these guys up closer to the front line, become spawn points for the Revenant Acolytes, if that's useful in some way. But that's just me kind of thinking off the top of my head there.
Right. Well, and when it comes to like say C3V waves, Grave Grim is guard, so it goes very well with the Crypt Guardians. I'm very excited about that. Any other thoughts, guys?
Yeah, there's a lot of, so the undead as a whole are a largely ununified segment of Heroscape. There's no real way to build armies, even in VC. There's not a lot of undead tags that help each other. It's mostly tied to terrifying or personalities or classes. So to have an undead army builder like this is so significant. Plus one that develops undead, which is their biggest weakness overall. You know, you think of zombies with their slow movement, shades where they need to be engaged prior to moving. Even just basics forwarding your Phantom Knights or Death Knights just up a little bit each turn with them is so impactful. It's such a large synergy web that, you know, just moving figures through spaces.
It's going to be a so well used unit. It will be so well used.
I have these. I have a couple of notes about this one. First of all, I'm not talking about whether they're correctly priced at 40 points. Players better than I am will figure that out.
Sure.
Second, this is so. Remember how I said about the tricksters? Like, this is a bad implementation of something real. This is judo and whatever, and these are real techniques. So okay, great. Now you've squeezed them all in a card. This is how you do that right. Because what I saw on this was, you could tell from the art, from the sculpt, from immediately you get a sense of what this thing is, and the powers connect to it. It is a spirit, like a dog spirit that connects with the dead. All right, what the hell is up with the name of this thing though? Grave Grim? Like, those are two words. Like, Jeremy, you must have been like, I don't understand. I know what these two words mean separately. What do they mean together?
So
and that,
they actually.
Wait. I'm still talking. I'm still talking.
Oh, sorry.
He asked a question, but he's still talking.
Yes, because I know the answer. The answer is that there is something called a church grim.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Would you? All right. A church grim is a guardian spirit at a church, and it can take the form of a dog. So this is a real sort of folklore thing. The church grim, given a slight shift to be a grave grim, but bringing this like sort of real earth folklore into the world of Valhalla in a meaningful way that's not just like cramming a bunch of random like junk in there. It is pointing a subtle finger at the real thing and bringing the theme without like just sort of the unhelpful names, which is what we saw in the Tricksters. This is how you do that right. So anyway, tip of the cap to whoever did this one, even if it's the same person as did the other one, whatever. This one's good, that one's bad.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
I'm sorry, Joe, for this thing being on the field now, because Nigaxa is ultimately worthless with this guy on the field nearby.
Wait, why?
Because of harrowing presence. It subtracts 3 from your opponent's.
Yeah.
You can never use your mind shackles.
Dang.
I forgot about that. What?
You'd be safe. You'd be
safe.
Oh
yeah, you'd be safe, Joe.
Yeah. I would be safe. Would I want to be safe is the question.
But once he's already mind shackled, he's already mind shackled. It doesn't matter at this point. This guy walks off 7 turns later.
Maybe he's just been pretending to be mind shackled so he can infiltrate the enemy's forces, and then turn out to be not mind shackled the whole time. That's an option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. So
I mean,
we got well, and I was gonna say we got Raylan who can't be mind shackled, and then you got this one that kind of like negates
prevents
that as
it.
well. Yeah.
But I look at this, and this past weekend, yesterday, I played in an event using Crypt Guardians and their power, which, forgive me for forgetting the actual power, but it gives a +2 for heroes with the D20 powers. And so I had Sudema in my army, and so I was able to surround, let's say, heroes or squads with 3 or 4 of, more like 2 to 3 of my Crypt Guardians, adding a +2, and it stacks. And then going up against a Grave Grim, and I assume, if there's multiple Grave Grims, do this also stack?
No.
Okay.
It's worded in such a way that anyone with around a creature with this power, it's a flat 3, not a
Okay.
3.
So as long as they're around, it's always a flat 3. But I think of that and go, oof, that's going to be tough, because if I'm rolling, let's say, a 10, and I got 2 of them or 3 of them around Crypt Guardians around the targeted figure, I'm getting a plus whatever, and that's subtracting from that, making it even more difficult. So I think that's cool. Very, very cool. Different power than that we've ever seen before, really.
And they got a 2 life. Yeah. I think this is one that's probably going to be is probably undervalued at 40 points. It might skyrocket up a little bit.
I think it's going to go down just because it's a common unit, and I mean 2 life 4 defense doesn't get you very far. So you're going to have at least 2 or 3 in your army to justify it. You got to think of this as twice as expensive, pretty much 2 Dumitaffs in a trench coat. Essentially, is what his stats is, except 1 attack.
That's true. That's true. I just wonder how valuable as a support it's going to be, especially you get multiple in your army though as well.
Yeah, I mean 4 defense plus height, 5 defense is nothing to scoff at for a support unit.
Mm-hmm.
So what's their is their best sort of synergy with the Crypt Guardians? Is there?
So that one's pretty built in with the Crypt Guardians. You also, I mean, you can move all your vampires together and there's a lot of
vampires, yes, but zombies don't care about these. Like a zombie squad doesn't need it.
Not too much. I mean, moving 6 zombies 3 spaces
still.
Except that
beginning,
any order marker on zombies, you already get to move 6. Right?
Yeah. So Phantom Knights are really good with these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be another fun one. Yep. For sure.
And the Acolytes, because the Acolytes can summon mechs to him.
Yep.
So you can, and they also support hit with their reroll ability. So that's probably the intended use, but there's some other fun uses. And everyone's overlooking the Eisenex as well, which is pretty potent if you have some points left over.
Yeah, what's the lore on
Eisenex option? Yep.
They're pretty much undead, right? Like they're undead, everything in that except for name.
Are Eisenex undead?
So they have a lich. I mean,
it's the best way to describe it's like undead is a very broad word, right? It's like I mean, they use it for vampires, they use it for Frankenstein monster, they use it for all. It's essentially you're looking at how do you prolong the existence of something beyond its intended life, right? So any sort of concept like that is expressed in that sense, the word undead, and the Eiseneck prolonged their life through the use of technology. So essentially they vibe with that, they kind of fit that same aesthetic, and that's why Revan is able to work with them in tandem. So you got your undead who are being prolonged in their life through magical means or vampires or all that kind of stuff or ghosts, and then you have the Eiseneck who are prolonging their lives beyond natural means through technology. So they all kind of, that's why they're able to it's just that they have passed the line of the living. They no longer associate with us because of that decision to prolong their life beyond the natural means they have it.
Fascinating.
Now, is that in opposition to the Soulborgs, which imply the Soulborgs have a soul where the Eisenex do not because they're just machinery?
You can think of it. Yep. It's like it's the different. It's like what the value of technology in these various worlds, right? The Nox Dormans, what they're doing with their technology, and then you get, because we have the lore of Alpha Prime that was already established, and you get to see what happened with their technology. So it's like it's these different like societies realizing, oh, we really shouldn't have focused that much on this certain thing because look what happened to us later on the line. Boom, that kind of stuff. So it's these domino effects you get to see as part of the ability, the Wellspring's ability to see the future, the Wellspring's ability to peer into these different timelines. It's part of that. It's seeing this like cause and effect playing out throughout the different timelines of the planet. So
Bill Flint's asking, when it says 3 spaces, does it mean the same as 3 move, or can you move 3 horizontal hexes ignoring elevation? I think it just means just 3
spaces.
Yeah,
so you would have to count the height, but you can be like 3 up.
Yeah, up to 3 spaces. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would flying still work? Because it's whenever you move them, regardless of ability, right? I believe flying would still proc on this.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a good question. I imagine it would, but that is something to look up later.
Because flying is whenever
tight
you
rules
move
for
them.
tournaments.
And I think the Revna dog tag there is just like just
if lost, please return to Revna.
Yeah, I almost wish the figure was that the sculpt was that pose.
Yeah.
I like the art more than I like the sculpt.
This is true. The sculpt is
They were trying to put it onto a 1 hexer where I think honestly I wish it was
because they could have put those.
Yeah, and actually, Grave Grim is a large 6. I didn't even see that.
Yeah. So it's kind of cheating with that sculpt.
It looks like a medium 4.
Pretty big dog.
It was a small dog. Yeah, it's a big dog.
Darn big dog.
It's a big dog.
That's as big as like
the stories of Hellhounds like describe him as horror.
Very true. Very true.
They clearly want them to be above battlements to be shot. So
I do think that the art conveys the spirit more than the sculpt looks more like sort of a mythological monster.
Mm-hmm.
But the art that we're looking at right now looks more like a spirit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could paint because I like how the eyes are in like the art in the artwork, just kind of like glowing, like emanating. It doesn't really show much in the sculpt, but you could paint that on too, somehow, just along the side of his face. If it works, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting sculpt, and so that was wave 4. I don't think I missed anything, right?
Are we talking about the lava stuff also? I did have one question for Jason. I didn't really.
The lava pack. I mean, we can just talk about it here. I'm just gonna actually shut.
Let's talk about terrain.
Yeah. We can talk about. I'm not gonna bring it up, but
I just kick off. I don't have much to say about it. It's not obvious, except I have a question for Jason, which I would love to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when it comes to lava field for building competitive maps, single hex, 3 hex, sometimes a 7 hex, you want like the little things that'll sit on top. You don't want the big things on the bottom. So the 24 hexers in the lava pack don't make much sense for the competitive scene.
Right.
But Jason, I think you are plugged into a sort of a different view of the Heroscape universe beyond, maybe different from the competitive play. Do you see a value in those big 24 hex lava pieces that the competitive Heroscape players might?
It would almost have to come with some sort of special rules to the scenario to where maybe they only apply certain times, where like randomly at the start of the turn maybe it becomes lava for the turn, like it's rising up or down, because they're so just dangerous normally when you walk across them, you have a chance of dying, that it's like, I don't know if it's worth taking that risk. I mean, if you wanted to create some more thematic map where you have a giant lava pit that's intentionally meant to be an obstacle, that would be a good use for them. You could do like a bridge over lava, so you kind of that cool effect going. You know, there's some thematic stuff like that that'd be kind of neat to see.
Jason,
so you're talking about like in Heroscape.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say is like, would this be something that people playing other games might use?
Yeah, that was what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, possibly.
Kind of applying to
us. Yeah, there's other games that want to use the Heroscape terrain that a giant lava field might make sense for. Or it's just like a glowing rock thing that looks a little bit different. Yeah. I think as Renegades talked about that you want to it's called the Heroscape terrain system intentionally to try to make it kind of imply you can play with other games without violating trademarks and saying it's compatible with this game or whatnot.
Sure. Yeah, because others do. I mean, I don't know if what is it? I'm sorry. Names escaping me.
BattleTech?
BattleTech, yeah. It might be an interesting thing for BattleTech, type stuff to use.
I know
possibly.
the local BattleTech players get excited when they see the tiles. They like seeing the tiles because it gives them options for their maps and stuff. And so anytime I have something set up, or I'll mention that they got the terrain system planned to be used by other games, and then BattleTech is always like the number one mention.
Sure.
And like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a hex-based minis. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, for me personally, I love all the lava tiles. I'll probably be the only one out of the Heroscape community that might buy like 20 sets of these lava tiles and be perfectly happy with it. Because
I guess if you're thinking BattleTech, like in BattleTech, heat management of your mechs is very important. You can overheat pretty easily if you fire too many weapons or do this. So if you want a volcanic wasteland where it's not necessarily damaging the mechs, but overheats them a lot faster, which creates a very interesting dynamic gameplay that way, yes, I can see people using these tiles for that type of thing.
Nice. I think for non-competitive events, it's going to see lots of play. I mean, you can just do your starting zone as lava, and you have to get all your figures out of that starting zone so fast. You can do Michael's tomb, but the top part is now molten lava to kind of offset the imbalance of that map. I think there's some fun things.
Fun scenario play.
Scenario play is going to really benefit from having that much lava in play.
I mean, even for competitiveness for Heroscape, Josiah, I think you pinned to something really, really smart, because a lot of people will just have insurance characters that just sit there the entire game, and now there's a reason for them to leave.
Exactly.
Because if you use any of the terrain from the other Vulcan pack, there isn't enough terrain for both start zones. You could put a little bit here, a little bit there, and you can choose. But now with 24 hexes, that you can use that entire 24 hex to get to as a start zone. But even so, I think even for the middle of the map, I know majority of lava maps, they use it for height. So if there is a risk, if you want the height advantage, you can go up, stay there, keep the height, but at the risk of getting damaged. But also having the 24s at the bottom to kind of fill the ground thematically, but also have it be like kind of like instead of like having water instead of having let's say a river go through a map, and you're not because you have to, no one wants to go sit in water for a whole turn. It changes, it slows the pace down a lot. You can have lava go through it, so that yes, you have to go down into something that you really don't want to be there. But if you don't have enough movement to get in there, it does stop it a little bit without it being water, if that makes sense. So I think there's some really cool map options that people can use the 24 hexes for, other than the start zone.
And then I know we're gonna wrap unless there was something else we want to talk about the lava maps. But I know I wanted to give Jason. You had a movement question about the acolytes, right, or some type of question?
Oh yeah. Very quickly. So with those guys, as long as you have a Revna hero on the board, can you actually eliminate the squad? Because if they're all
the squad's
dead,
all gone, their power stops working because there's no after defeated this power still works text. So
Gotta have at least one.
You have to have at least one squad member on the board.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you have multiple squads, is it only when is a squad considered eliminated? When 3 are gone, then you can never bring those 3 back, or is it as long as there's one left?
As long as there's one squad member, one common
Mm-hmm.
squad member, then it's still
use
active.
as much as you want. Yeah.
Love common squads.
So it's like I think it plays like the Skeletons of Anelentia because
Yes.
That was a good try,
they kept
Jeremy.
coming. I know the
Annalita.
name is really confusing.
By spelling it, you'll lose.
Annalita?
Analintia.
One day I do have this, like, obviously if it ever happens, I would like to talk to Craig from a lore perspective and just be like, hey man, these names, like, I work with these now, like, where, like, it's like these names are awesome, like references, man. I want to keep them going, but you got to tell me where you got them from, and some of these are like cool, but I want to keep the theme going, but it's like I don't know where these names come from.
Some of these are someone fell asleep on the keyboard.
And it's like they sound like certain languages, and then you type them in, it's like nothing comes up in the search except Heroscape content, and I'm like, crap, no, where's my linguistic reference? Where's my word roots? It's I don't know what these names mean, and it's cool, but it's like, oh, I wish I knew more, so I could write more about it, but. That's why I'd be like, "Hey, Craig, where did you get these names from?" Like, I just want to have that chat. That would be, but
yeah. Well, okay. I think then we are going to close, and we're going to close tonight because, it's almost 2.5 hours in the stream, which is great. I mean, 100 plus comments. Oh, I'm about to fall over. I'm about to fall on my keyboard. So.
3 days of a convention.
Oh my gosh!
I played 16. Yeah, I'm
crazy stuff. But
I made it here.
But I do appreciate.
You don't look bad, Jeremy. You look like you're still running.
I did
appreciate
have 3 energy drinks. So
yeah, that'll do it. Do appreciate all the comments in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't get to all of them because 100 plus that's great for tonight. But that means I can't. But I have looked at all of them, so it's all here. It's all in the noggin. So I do appreciate everybody who put their comments in tonight. And I'm just going to Bill Flint. The promos were the first things we did. Promos were the first things we did tonight. So yeah, appreciate the question. Just to play everybody here, thank everybody from the panel. If there's links for them, they're in the description below. Check them out. Give them some love. And this Wednesday, I'm gonna be reading through all of these, reading through the lore, having some fun with that on Wednesday. Hopefully, Jeremy can join me with that. But yeah, thank everybody for watching. This seems like not as much as last time, not like wave 3, but still some solid stuff. Common squads for the first time, and as well as that short that surprised nearly everybody, which very happy about. So with that, I thank everybody for watching, everybody for listening. Got to give a shout out to the Spotify crowd too, because that crowd keeps on growing via the audio sphere. Audio podcast sphere. I appreciate everybody who listens on Spotify or other areas. This podcast is growing. It's a lovely thing. So with that, thank you for watching. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it, and we'll see all of you next time. Later now. Bye bye.